First up on the show is Tiffany Edwards, an expert with human resources and social change, and she's the president and co-founder of Edwards Consulting Group. Dr. Tiff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So yeah, go ahead.
Jinx.
Yeah, Jinx.
Real quick, I know we're going to go into a lot of topics, but tell me what social change means to you in your business.
So to me, social change it really relates to human resources, because I think that human resources are your number one asset. And if you don't have change, there's definitely no progress. And the change that's going on in society, culturally, as far as I'll use a hospital, for example, because I did study nurse retention. If you don't keep the nurses, then the culture that's around there, it may not survive. It's all dependent on everybody. It's kind of like an ecosystem. We all work together.
Yeah, so how do you incorporate social change into your primary business?
So I incorporate it by, to be honest, working directly with you based on who you are and what you have going on as an organization versus what another marketing agency might be doing that's in a different industry, because they don't market the same way you do. They don't do podcasts. Maybe they just do magazines or just work with golf courses or things like that. So it's more of a working directly with the customer, meeting people where they are.
Okay, good. So what would social change look like for a company like, if I was to hire you, you would come in, what would be the steps that you would take there as far as helping me out with my HR and that?
So one of the things that we do is workforce development. So it's really a matter of, why did you call us? Did you call us because you're having problems keeping people, or because you need some employee training? All of those go together. Or maybe you need staff. You need to replace, or you need to strategically align your future with where you are now or where you want to be in 5 years. We have to honestly look at what's going on within your organization, because if you don't have the right people at the top, the right leaders, then, well, the people below them, you're kind of just wasting your time.
So you guys do headhunting to actually go out there and find the right people?
We do also do headhunting, yes. We find the right people for your organization. We help you make sure you have the right number of people and can keep those people by keeping them skill trained.
Skill trained. What else motivates them to stay for retention wise?
Honestly,
Money,
everybody.
I know, but...
Well, no, honestly, everybody's not motivated by money. I mean, obviously, we all like money, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people are motivated by they're having their basic needs met. And once you have those met, then you're more inclined to stay with an organization. Because one of the big things that I harp on is communication. If you don't have good workforce communication, then what do you really have? Because that's the foundation of everything. So we're big on employee training, development, and making sure that the people at the top actually know. If you tell the people at the bottom what's going on, then they'll probably want to help you instead of thinking that you're lying to them.
Well, and it sounds so common sense, but just the culture of the American corporate world, we know that there are some major disconnects in communication.
You
and you've
think?
said leadership a couple times, like it matters that leadership takes this to heart. So how often are you coming across companies with a deficit there that also have leaders that are open and willing to hear what you're saying and make those changes?
Yeah, I would say that's not to say a daily occurrence, but it's all the time. A lot of the times you have the person who's in charge of finding someone to do the work or help your company out. But at the same time, those very people aren't actually going to go through any training or make any changes themselves. They expect other people to be the change they want to see in the world, if you will. Not to be cliche, but you have to be the change that you want to see. And if you're not going to go through the training process or any of the development and just pass dollars off to tell other people what they need to do, then you're the problem.
I think that, like with my company, so we're 23 employees right now, and we're picking up, I think, 3 more this week. And so one of the things I do is once a week for sure, I have a huddle with them on Slack, right, where people can see me, that everybody gets access to the owner of the company, right? And so that's a chance to be heard. And I think we talked about connection a little bit. It's like, so feeling connected to the top of the organization in a positive way, not in a fearful way or a, whatever, but in a positive, like, I'm connected to Marc, or I'm connected to Dr. Tiff, so it motivates me to do more, I think, with my work. That's kind of how I see it. How do you agree with that, or what's your insight there?
I do agree with that. I think that if you're not connected to the organization, basically if you feel lied to, if you're not being communicated with, say for your parents, for example, if your parents or your kids are lying to you. If you feel like they're lying to you, then you lose a little bit of trust. And it just goes downhill from there. And one of the basic needs that you have is to feel safe. And if you don't trust where you're at, then how will you feel safe?
Exactly. Brooke, who you guys met, is adopted, right? We adopt her from the hospital, right? We actually were there when she came out.
Nice.
But she's known her story. She's known who her birth mom is, all of that, her whole life. And we know of stories where they have not told, they've kept that from their adopted child. And to your point, there's a huge trust deficit there from the parent's perspective, but also from the child. If they ever find out what happened there, which they always do,
Which
right?
ancestry, I mean,
Yeah, it's almost impossible to keep it hidden.
you may
these
as well
days.
tell.
But there's so much benefit there. So to your point about, maintaining a good line of communication and trust, that is very foundational when it comes to family, which translates very well to business as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think in business, when you see a lot of, because we network, and we see a lot of businesses that are starting or they're in their infancy and they're so small. You got 5-6 people, you see them every single day or at least every work day. And so the communication is just like back and forth right there.
Mm-hmm.
What size of company do you notice that true disconnect start to happen to where you need to start and basically having someone bridge that gap and actively learn how to communicate?
To be honest, I don't think that there's necessarily a size as far as there is a person.
Oh.
Because if you have a company where it's, everybody in here is related, and then you hire someone who's not, and you don't give them access to files that they need to do their job, then you already have a problem. And
Sounds like
there's a
there's
lot
a
of
story
companies that
there.
are like that. You're like that when you get new friends. You say, we'll tell them everything, but not this piece. Well, honestly, everybody thinks they're the smartest person in the room, but we all know when people are lying to us, right? So it's kind of like take a step back. Other people know when you're lying or when you're keeping something from them.
But would you agree that you don't give everybody the same level of information in a company?
No. I would say a company where you get to say how you are at 20 to 25, and then upwards of 50, where you have all other kind of things that you have to worry about. That's where the disconnect really starts to break down, where maybe the owner was really, really active and now they have too much money or they have too much time or they want to go a different route and do something else. So now they're not communicating the same.
That's a good point. Yeah, I can see where that would happen. I know for me, for example, it's very much my attention has to be in the growth of the company, less in the execution. I'll bring a new client on and I'll have very little contact at all with them, but my team executes on that. So there's a bit of a disconnect, but that's the way it has to be.
Yeah, to grow.
Yeah.
You have to change. It's just that the people who are, I guess, in charge, if it's your company and you want it to stay a certain way, then you have to open up the lines of communication, at least have a process in place. Because there are so many processes at different companies, you don't even know where to find a document because it's saved in 5 different places.
Yeah. Oh, talk to me about that, right? we're running close on time, but I wanted to ask you a question about, so with respect to HR, what's the biggest misconception around HR?
So the biggest thing that I've come across is people, they think that HR is just staffing. And staffing is a component of human resources, but human resources are your number one asset. It's the workforce development, the employee coaching, executive coaching, training, strategic planning, all those things that go into helping a business grow and helping employees understand, hey, we have to do benefits. There's open enrollment. We have an implementation for a new HR system. All of that is HR too, not just, hey, can you find me a doctor or a tech?
It's kind of like an orchestra. There's a lot of pieces to it, a lot of instruments.
Yeah.
I always relate things to real estate. It seems kind of like the difference between just trying to manage a property yourself and, you figure things out as you go versus having a property manager that knows all the ins and outs. They know all the laws involved. They know how to navigate that so they can prevent problems before they happen instead of dealing with problems after they happen.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy.
Preventative maintenance, is a key.
All right, Dr. Tiff, if folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
So they can go to our website. It is www.edwardsconsultinggroup.com. That has all of our information. And we are also on Instagram as Edwards Consulting Group and Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Tiff. I appreciate it. It was a fast 10 minutes, right?
It
I
was,
like Dr.
right?
Tiff.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have a TV show. Dr. Tiff.
I know, right?
Answering your
I'm on
HR
also.
needs.
I'll
All right.
come on again.
Brian, you're gonna have to move the microphone up.
Okay, a
Yeah,
little
you
bit more.
You can move it towards you if you want
Okay.
to. Yeah, you can.
If you
go
like
right
to
there.
lean back a little bit
Don't be
more.
I
afraid.
do. I
You
do.
can
Yeah.
grab it right here and just be like wherever you want to go with it.
All right.
Next up on the show is Brian Chambers, a sales expert and the president of B&LC Custom Print. Brian, welcome. It's first time, but I see you started with Red Bull, so you're already off and running.
Yes, I am. Thank you for having me on the show.
You bet, man. All right, so how did you get started with the custom printing business? What kind of drew you into it?
Well, I used to be a real estate lender, okay, and I used to work for a company, and interest rate, it was market driven, and interest rates went high, and it was less business. Okay?
What year?
This year, actually.
Really?
No. It started declining last year. I'm
October
sorry,
of
last
last
year.
So
year.
very recent.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the
No.
custom printing
Oh,
business?
I am.
About a year now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so brand
Close
new.
to a year. So as a lender, in mortgage, what I used to do is, refinance purchases, a lot of loans, right? And I thought to myself, okay, I'm selling products already, so let me venture off and, see what this is all about. And when I thought about products, I said, well, I know there's companies out there that need products, right? Imprints, embroidery, you might need uniforms, pins with your logo,
Trucker hats.
trucker hats, and I said, this is broad. Let me open it up and, see what companies need. And it's all about what they need, right?
Okay, so the opportunity's there, but is that what drew you, or is it more like this looks like fun, or I can make a lot of money here? I mean, what really drew you to that industry?
I'm going to say a little bit of both. I think it could be fun, right?
Yeah.
Like just talking to you and say, hey, man, I like this artwork, and I like artwork. I just, my mother could draw. My nieces are graphic designers. They help me out. Some of the stuff that I see, I'll be like, oh, man, that look awesome, right? So imagine putting that on a T-shirt. Imagine putting that on, a product that you like, right? So that's why I start, just excelling on that, and I'm just trying to build off of it. So
Okay, so is it primarily a family business? Is that what you're
yes,
running with?
and
Family labor costs are down. Cheap
They are
labor.
down.
well, you gotta think about this too. Like, I have a few members in my family that's business owner. We don't have a lot of business owners in my family, and I want something to outlive me, something I could leave behind. I feel like
Legacy.
it's almost like a legacy, because like my parents, they just work, but they have nothing to leave behind. So I just thought of a different process, as far as like just something lead to my daughter, right? And I got one on the way. So
Oh, congratulations.
thank you,
Oh,
thank
big
you. So
announcement.
yeah, so
So
I,
now this is a business now. So
Right.
there's going to come a point, and this is like Heather's specialty. You're
Right.
going to have to choose between job owner and business owner, right? If you're going to grow it. So
Right.
really, I have a couple questions, right? Which is, how do you plan on growing it? And then at what point do you want to turn it from a job owner into a business owner, kind of a thing? So I don't know who's best to ask that question. Probably Heather.
If I could simplify that question, if everything went right, where would your business be in 5 years?
if everything went right, I would like to see a lot of customers just be satisfied with what they have, right? What the business will look like, that's hard to say. That's a challenging question for me, because I don't know what I would do in 5 years if the business met its expectations, right? So that's something I probably just have to think of on my own. But I would like to see my kids get more involved as they get older with it,
Are you trying to build a business or a job?
I'm going to say a business. Because if I treat it like a job, I mean, my definition of a job is you just working just to make ends meet, right? I'm
You
working.
can't step away from it. That's the big difference. Is
But-
you're not building something for other people. You're building it for yourself, where you're the boss. You make all the decisions. You do all the work. That's a job owner. But then you can't, if you get sick or if you want to take a vacation, those kind of things are inhibited. So, but building a business is where you actually facilitate other people to do the work. You're the leadership. You make the connections. You build out the business side of it. But then other people execute the work. That's the big difference.
I'm leaning towards that way then, more of the business side of it, yes.
So
To delegate the work, yes.
so Heather's a business coach.
Mm-hmm.
We need to meet.
Get coffee and have her just explain that a little bit, and maybe she can put some thought processes in place for you to be like, okay, you can visualize what this would look
That's
like
true.
in 6 months or 12 months,
Right.
because it's hugely beneficial. Because if we can drive ourselves right into a job if we're not careful, and then we can't get out of it.
That
And
makes
then
sense.
we adjust our lifestyle where we can't hire somebody to do something because we're spending all the money that we're making doing it. So I can't move. That's where it's like, you're brand new. Start planning now so that you can.
And that makes sense because I know
leverage.
a business owner that been in since 2005, and I think he's more of a job owner because he's out there like in the field, technician. And I'm like, you're a CEO of a company, you got all these personnel. I'm like, wow, why are you working like this? He said,
Well, and
it's
it's
just the
so
industry.
easy. We can all. My favorite joke to say is when I meet new business owners, they tell me they got into business for freedom and flexibility.
I don't think
Okay,
that's.
and if you laugh at that, then you know because
no, I don't
somebody
think
You
that's
won't be free
true.
or
I
flexible
mean,
at
is that
first.
true though? I mean, like,
They think that, though. They think that, I don't want a boss, and I'm going to
work
have
for
more
myself.
freedom, and I'm going to make more money. But the problem is it doesn't work that way.
I don't think I wouldn't think it worked that
Because
way.
there's too much competition, so your margins are smaller and smaller. So you have to actually scale what you're doing in order to, especially in the I call it the tchotchke business, right? But it's the sales, the promotional items business, right? It's the giveaways, it's the fun stuff, right?
Right.
Well, there's a low margin there, so you got to be careful with those margins. So you have to get creative in how you do things.
That's true.
But if you can't, you can scale, right? Can you sell to 100 local clients or 10 local clients to make the margins you want to live the lifestyle you want? But if you want to build a business, it's a different approach.
Attitude, okay, about it, yeah.
And I
okay.
love what you said earlier about not wanting to reinvent the wheel. What's great is generally like us and what we do, and also most of the people that come on our podcast, it's not like the tech world where it's like, I have this cool, sexy idea for this ethereal app, and I'm going to get a bunch of people to give me money for the idea of the app. No, we work in here's a product or here's a service, and I get paid for that, and I have to cash flow to survive because I have to pay my bills. So generally in these unsexy industries that we all do, which,
Yeah.
I mean, I like them if it's
I
fine.
think promotional items is pretty
Yeah,
sexy,
I think
though.
it's
I
like
love
kind
graphic
of sexy,
design.
yeah.
No, seriously.
You're
I
in
love
the
all
like
that.
more
It's fun.
fun
Yeah, I
side.
think it could. That's why, I love it. Yeah.
But generally, someone has done what we want to do, and it doesn't need to be reinventing the wheel. It doesn't need to be figuring it all out for ourselves. It's just that's why I always ask that question: if everything went right, because nobody seems to think in those terms. We all are a little more pessimistic, except for some of us who are dreamers.
I'm very optimistic.
Not Mark. Mark's like when everything goes right, and I love that.
I love that.
But if everything goes right in 5 years, and having that clarity can direct your activity now and keep you from becoming that job owner.
Yeah.
Because if you know that you are working toward, hey, in 5 years, I want to be spending 20 hours managing this business a week instead of 100 hours running the business a week, then you can build your business in that direction and start to have milestones where it's like, hey, I need to outsource the sales piece, or I need to outsource the design. It's totally
Yeah.
customizable, but I'm betting money someone has already done it the way generally you'd like to do it. So why not take their rough draft and just tweak it to what works for you? That's why I read so many books. I'm like, what works there?
Do you have a mentor in your business? Do you have somebody you're following?
I
on?
use Score a lot.
What's
You know,
Score?
Score is like an online nonprofit organization. They come out with classes almost every week. And
But do you have somebody who's actually done it
Oh,
successfully that you communicate with?
yeah, his name is Bob Mitchell. He used to play for what was it, football or baseball for Texas A&M.
Okay.
Oh,
And
gig 'em.
sometimes I talk to him about like government contracts and
There we go.
how to strategize as far as sales and things like that.
Go
He
for the
done made-
whales.
Yeah.
Bob Mitchell, from what he told me, he made millions and millions of dollars as a business strategist for companies already. So if you don't know about Score, they pretty much a great group to start off with. They will assign you a mentor
Well, that's great.
if you don't have one, but they pretty cool.
I think it's
And he
really
has his own business too, and it's like a business leadership school. It's online. I don't know the cost of it or whatever, but you go through these modules and.
So where are you marketing? How are you networking? How are you getting out in front of other business owners right now?
That's a good question. Chambers of Commerce.
Okay.
So
That's where we met.
that's what we do, right? Ribbon cuttings. I call beforehand, like with once I see something pop up, I say, hey, during your ribbon cutting, just make a conversation with them, like build rapport and see what they need and say, hey, do you need like a banner maybe for your ribbon cutting or I don't know, they could need a whole bunch of other things, and we just have that conversation, but it's really based around that conversation we have, like me and you have.
Smart.
Right?
Nice.
Very smart.
So is there a difference in speed in like if someone orders promotional products from you versus going online? Are you able to get them quicker turnaround times, better quality?
It depends on the product and the supplier, because I have I have access to over 2,400 suppliers, right? And that is a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I do need a strategy on what suppliers I really like, but I do look at a list of top suppliers that's in the country, the top 50, and normally I deal with those suppliers for now, because they got to be doing something right? If they top 40 in sales or whatever the situation is. So.
Do you guys have like a secret sauce, or why choose you over somebody else? Is it just because you're there, or is there something that like, hey, this is what makes us special?
I think choosing like my company is more like one-on-one, okay? You can't really, well, you can call somebody at Amazon, right?
But
No,
I don't think you
I
can.
don't think you can.
well, okay, you can't call nobody at Amazon.
I wouldn't even think of that.
With me, I'm gonna do like a little checklist and say, hey, you need this. How do you want this? How you want this artwork? I'm more what's the
Customer
word?
service is where
Yeah,
you're
more
at.
It's
customer
about having
service,
that,
one-on-one,
the person
right?
that can help you navigate
Yeah,
that
so I cater
process.
to you. I cater more to you than, and that's kind of old school, right? Because
Yeah.
nobody likes to talk to nobody nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Everything is, I push a
text.
button.
Oh, I press 0 1,000 times whenever
Yeah,
I
so
call those
I mean,
customer services.
I want to go back to basics, I call it. I am, veteran too. I think also, if I didn't have passive income, I might have a different attitude about what I'm doing now, right?
What would be
Interesting.
different? More hustle?
Because I would have to
You have to
need
hustle.
this for like paying mortgage, paying bills that we have, right?
That's how you
That's
succeed,
huge.
though. is when
Yeah,
you're
not
scared
having to
death.
worry about money, and you can build the business that you want, and the money will follow.
And remember, I was in real estate,
know.
so I got a couple of properties with passive income, right? I'm not rich by no means, but at the same time, I'm relaxed. So I don't feel the stresses of like a lot of people that start
Yeah.
businesses, because you're going to take a loss most of the time when you do start businesses, right?
That's true.
Yep.
You're going to take a lot of loss. So you just got to be able to deal with that. And then a lot of people take out a lot of loans. I don't like loans, so I
Paying
try to.
somebody else to go out and work.
Man, it's and I do want to, and that's a good question when I think about it. I do want to like help people, like in the long run, 5 years. If somebody can work their butt off and make $1 million, I want to give them a good portion of that $1 million. Just not for myself, but for them too.
You want everybody to win.
I do. I'm just that person. And I know that's hard to, like a lot of people to think that, but for real, like,
I think a lot of entrepreneurs think that way. I mean,
I do too.
we're in business to help each other.
Yeah.
We want to win, but we don't have to make other people lose so we can win.
exactly. I don't want
Right.
that. I don't want to do that at all.
I need to.
No.
That should be a quote.
If I could change
Yeah.
somebody's life, like, like from, especially where I'm from, I'm from Chicago, the poor part of the city, right? And if I could change somebody's life, because I done seen a lot of lifestyle where a lot of poverty is, and I could see them like convert and grow. That's an achievement for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've been to Iraq, Afghanistan. I done seen culture, how the people live and stuff, and you only could do what you can do to help, right? A lot of humanitarian assignments I've been assigned to, and when somebody from like succeed or be happy about something that I helped them with, I'm happy. It makes me feel good. So
That's
that's
joy.
the drive,
Well, and I
man.
feel like at a
That's-
certain point, money stops being
it's not really
important.
important.
Yeah.
It-
and
it-
not your
people look
number
for a
one
higher
motivator.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, higher
ultimately-
purpose. It's assets, goals, what you're trying to accomplish, and if I can help you do that, yeah.
I figure that
I'll
happens
win.
around $20,000 a month, and then we can start thinking about
Yeah.
cool. Now
Then
I
you
can
can
give some of this
really,
away.
at a high level, start thinking about
All right,
it.
Brian. Well, that's a great chat. If folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Oh, you can go to my website or call me. My website is blccustomprint.com, or just give me a call at 866-243-3569, and I'll be there.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. All right, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder, you can check out our latest podcast or catch video version of the show by anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com or find us on social media. That's going to be it for this one. Thanks, everybody. You all did a great job.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me.